All right. What is up, guys? How's it going? I don't think I've actually made a reaction video before. Like a direct, they said this thing, I got to talk about it. I think maybe on the Facebook group I did it like once or twice, but this is a real reaction video. Like, it's going to get dramatic up in here. I'm very excited. Because Dave and Shan put out a new video today, and I got a lot of feelings about it. So we're going to talk about my feelings because this is my goddamn video. So let me first start by saying the entire thing is not a dumpster fire. It's one of those videos that it started off really well and interesting, and then it just got weird and I was not into it, and I have to make a video about it because of how not into it I was. The thing that I liked about it is that, so there's the thing that's been floating around about for a long time about conscious competence and unconscious incompetence, right? Like consciousness and competence making a little Punnett square, right? And I love that they mapped that onto the hero's journey, because the hero's journey, as much as I love it, as much as I love the little intricacies and nuances of like finding the mentor, death of the mentor, death and rebirth, bring the boon back to, like, what the fuck, dude, sometimes, right? It can get very convoluted, real messy, but I love this 4-step process because I do think it maps on really, really well. And it's a really clean way to articulate a lot of what the hero's journey is going for, right? In particular, like, let's just start at the beginning. So their 4 steps are townsfolk, purgatory, deathbed, grow and give. Okay, so they start with townsfolk land, and I gotta be honest, I don't hate townsfolk land. The vibe I got from them is that they're not a huge fan of townsfolk land. I love it. I think townsfolk land is fucking awesome. And here's my rule with townsfolk land. As long as what you are doing is not hurting anybody, fucking live in townsfolk land your entire life. Please, for the love of God, be happy. What you can't do is you can't pretend to live in townsfolk land. And like in New Mexico, for instance, in Roswell, New Mexico, there are these protests about opening up the government again, even though New Mexico hasn't hit its peak with coronavirus. And now, right, so now you're the unconscious incompetence, that's actually going to like hurt people. And no, you can't do that. Don't hurt people. But if you're just like, I want to be, a school teacher for 40 years, and that's just like how I want to live my life. Maybe get married, maybe have kids, maybe don't. But like, yep, this is where I live. This is where I grew up. I'm going to go and be a teacher at my old high school and, see the generations get older and not really change too much and not really grow too much and just sort of live my life one day at a time. God bless you, man. Like, if that makes you happy, goddamn, be happy. Holy shit. If I learned one thing from this fucking quarantine, is that whatever you need to do to be happy, provided you are not hurting anybody else, do that, right? Like, pay your bills, live, be able to buy groceries, and like take care of whatever kids or people, right? But like, again, as long as you're not hurting anybody, goddamn, be happy. I think a lot of people, especially in the wellness space, put pressure on themselves when it isn't necessary and isn't helpful, which is sort of leading me into the next rest of the video. And it's weird, like in some ways I say that I disagree with it. I don't disagree with the math of it. I think the math is really goddamn good. But I think the energy, I think the tone of the video is counterproductive. I think it's counterproductive. I think it. I'm not going to say that it's going to do more harm than good, but I don't think it's going to do as much good as I think they're hoping it's going to do. So we're talking about this purgatory. So the purgatory is the conscious incompetence, right? That is, as you begin the descent, here's where again, just terminology, minor sensory nitpicky thing. I don't love the purgatory term, just because purgatory, at least in my mind, is much more about like, it is a state explicitly trying to descend into hell, right? So again, but purgatory is fine. That makes sense for you. Use purgatory. I like descent, whatever. It's a random sensory thing. This is the conscious incompetence. This is, I am starting to become aware of, for lack of a better term, and I hesitate because I'm about to rail on this 4 minutes from now. It's the like, oh, I am a mess. I'm like a mess of a person. I got a lot of shit to work out. And as I begin to plumb the depths of my psyche, I am starting to understand all of the different ways in which I'm a hot mess, right? And all the work that I need to do. Cool. I don't think that has to be scary. And this is sort of like my big overarching issue with it, is that I don't think that any part of this process has to be scary. I don't think it has to be painful. I don't think it has to be something you grit your teeth through. I don't think that it's something that you have to take this mindset of this is bad and do the Jocko thing of like, whenever I see bad, I tell myself good. Bad is good. Like, you don't need to do that. You're fine. This is literally all of human existence. We're all doing the human thing. That is how this works. By virtue of the fact that you are doing it, you are doing your job as a growing human. There is nothing about this that categorically must be terrible and traumatic. It just fucking doesn't have to be. That said, there are going to be parts of this journey that are kind of not fun. But that does not mean that this entire process is going to be terrifying. And I think that it's really, really easy. I think it's really easy to run the risk of, if you look at this math and you start your descent and you're like, fuck, this only ever gets harder as far as I can see. And then at some abstract point in the future, maybe it gets better. Wait, what? No, right? That's another part of the narrative I want to dispel. That like, none of this has to be hard. It does not categorically have to be, like, going through the process does not have to be additionally painful, right? Because you can look at all of this stuff and all of this growth stuff as just like you're going to the doctor, you're taking some medicine, you're eating your vegetables, you're stretching. That's it. There are going to be parts of this journey that are momentarily uncomfortable. But I think that the amount that you have to delay your happiness, I think it's real easy to go real fucking overboard with that, right? If I go to a yoga class and I'm like, man, I'm real tight. Go to a yoga class, I do a little bit of stretching. Cool. I did my stretching for the day. I am now not going to stay in that place of discomfort, I'm going to jump back. I'm going to remind my system that existence isn't pain. Because here's what's going to happen. If you can prime yourself to do that, if you can prime yourself to like jump in and out of the pain, now you're actually excited about doing it because you're like, okay, if I go to the gym, then I get a cookie. Maybe not quite that, but like whatever it is. Like for me, I walk basically every morning. This past weekend, I didn't walk. But, you know, the gyms are closed. I want to get some kind of exercise. I have not gained the COVID-15 miraculously. Body fat percentage, that's a different story. You can see a little, you can see the squish. It's a little squishy. But whatever. I have not gained any weight. I'm calling it a win. But what I do is every morning, I leave the house at 6:45 because I'm a crazy ass morning person. And I just go for a walk for like 7 miles. Usually I'll put some boots on to give myself a little extra leg workout. And it's, you know, I'm in Los Angeles. There are hills, there's ups and downs. I go to the grocery store. I'll walk back with, 10 pounds of food in each hand. I'll walk a mile with all my groceries, whatever, right? It's great. And I know that when I get home, I don't have to do more exercise. Like I'm good. I did my chores, right? And I think about like being a little kid again. And, the whole idea is that if you were doing chores all weekend, every weekend, something was very, very wrong, right? The way that chores should be done is you have, it's like, all right, we're going to eat dinner at 6 o'clock, 6:30. We're all going to do our chores, right? It's my turn to load the dishwasher. Tomorrow I'm going to, put the load of laundry in, whatever. We all do our chores. Then at the end of the night, we all can watch TV together, or I go play Nintendo or whatever. And then on the weekends in the morning, we do like one project from like 9 to 11. And then we have the whole rest of the day to fucking not do chores. God damn, right? That's the way I think you got to look at this personal growth shit. You cannot be doing chores all the time, or else, because here's what's going to happen. If all you are doing are chores and constantly putting pressure on yourself without giving yourself a way to relieve it, that pressure is going to build up and explode, and you're going to hella overindulge, or worse, you're going to be like, you know what? Fuck it. Any amount of work is too hard. So I'm going to do nothing. And that's what happened to me. Back when I was in New York, I was depressed. I had anxiety. I was a basket case. I was in really bad shape. And a lot of that was because everything felt super all or nothing, right? And it felt like if I really wanted to grow, if I really wanted to succeed, I had to constantly be applying pressure. And anytime I chose to not apply pressure, that was somehow a moral failing. There's no fucking moral failing. Calm down. No, you're fine. And number two, there's only so much work you can do in a day before the diminishing returns start to kick in, right? And as you're starting this, being gentle with yourself, I think is going to yield as good of results as being hard on yourself. So if the result is fairly similar and gentleness hurts less, I don't see any reason not to do the thing that's less painful and gets the same result. I just don't see it. If you have a counter argument to that, I would love to hear it. But I just don't see it. Now look, if the result is different, fine. Happy to have a conversation. The analogy I like for that is, there are days when I don't feel like going to the gym, right? But I know it's good for me. I'm scheduled for it. I know that I will feel better. I just kind of don't want to, right? And there was one day, look, there are days when I just don't get a lot of sleep. I have very noisy neighbors. I don't like my neighbors very much. Whatever. I don't see them, except they're very loud sometimes. Whatever. But like there are nights when I don't get a great night's sleep. I'm super anxious. And I wake up and I go to the gym, and I'm slated for a leg day. It's just not going to be my best leg day. We're not breaking any records. But the trick is to learn to be able to go, okay, where am I actually at today? Like, realistically, what is today? It ain't 100. It is not a 100 day at all. But it's also not a 0 day. It's not even a 20% day, right? It's not one of those days. Like, there have been days when I'll be like, okay, so I don't want to do anything, but I do want to leave the house. So I will go to the gym, sit in the sauna, have a nice schwitz, do a little stretching, whatever. Take a nice shower, use their nice fancy bath products, boop in the bop. As a side note, I mentioned this in the first one. I'm rewatching The Sopranos, and this is just how I'm going to be talking for a while. It's just where I'm at. It happens. Point is, there are days like that, but not every day that isn't 100 has to be a nice little schwitz, right? There's a whole fucking middle ground of like, okay, yes, I can put some amount of pressure on myself. I'm showing up. I'm still going to do a leg day, but I'm not going to focus so much on weight. I'm going to focus on reps, right? I'm going to focus on flexibility. I'm going to focus on range of motion. I'm going to focus on just being present for 45 minutes. I'm going to focus on taking really efficient breaks, whatever it is, right? I'm still getting work done at the gym, right? That's what I think you need to be able to do. And to bring it back to this hero's journey, purgatory, whatever, this is where I think the more gentle you can be in your descent, right? That is where I think you can really start to move forward, because you're still descending and you're fucking pumped about it. You're like, this is okay. I'm jamming, just showing up every day. We're doing the thing. That's rad as shit, right? And then you start to see like, I was going to blow up my own spot because that's what I do in these videos. At my time when I go, there are some very attractive people at the gym. And boy, do I enjoy watching the beautiful people of Sunset Boulevard working out. That Hollywood, West Hollywood vibe, man. It's pretty fucking rad. And I'm like, great. I get to see the most beautiful people on the planet working out. Great. Fucking love it. So moving on to this third step, this is the part that I'm like, nope, I disagree. I fundamentally disagree. The part about the deathbed, the conscious competence, I don't think it has to be necessarily traumatic. Because they talk about there being like this ledge, and then there's like the pit of despair. Nobody ever makes it out alive, right? It does not have to be the pit of despair. It just does not. I don't know what to tell you. You do have to keep descending. But I think that there's a nice little y equals x squaredness energy happening, right? Where it's like, I'm descending. And then it's going to start like a precipice and you're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Okay, I actually kind of feel the depth of the terribleness leveling off. Okay, great. Yes. Okay, I feel I am at the nadir of the curve. I'm at the bottom. Great. Now I can start chugging my way back up, right? And I've got the chain and it's pulling the roller coaster up, right? I don't think there has to be a ledge. The ledge metaphor isn't bad. If it helps you to say, I need to like cast away the world and fall and whatever, right? If that helps you in your journey, Mazel Tov. You have my blessing to use this metaphor if it helps you to be fulfilled. In some ways, it helped me, but my process was such a gradual, like I would let go of something, plateau, let go of something, plateau, let go of something, plateau. Like there are so many ways to do it. And leaving New York, I very deliberately did not, like I could have left New York in December of 2018. I almost left in December of 2018. I almost like gave up my apartment. I almost, rage quit my job with nothing to fall back on and just like fuck you guys, nuke it all, leave, deathbed, let me convalesce in my parents' home for 6 months, right? I did not do this because I didn't think it was helpful. It was me going, let me clear away this, let me clear away this, let me slowly clear away all of these cobwebs. I think at some point I'm going to have to make this enormous decision to leave the home that I had lived in for the past decade, for the entirety of my 20s. But let me make that ledge, let me make it a little ledge. It does not have to be 100. They're talking about a fucking 100-foot fall. Are you kidding me? No. Why? That is wildly unnecessary, right? And yes, you know what, Ariana, I love this comment. I fucking love this comment. I agree that it doesn't have to be a pit of despair. Like spiritual awakening, for example, they say life can throw you into it against your will, or you can make the conscious decision to awaken. Yes, you can, right? You absolutely can be like, oh, okay, I see this thing. I can either, like, I know that this thing is coming, right? In my case, the writing was on the wall that I needed to leave New York, right? So I had two choices. I could either say, okay, let me make this transition as painless as humanly possible, or continue to fight it, right? And this wasn't me being like an NF fucking hippie weirdo. This was me in an act of self-preservation, being willing to go, you know what? I like not being in pain. So how can I make this happen with the least amount of pain? And look, there weren't not moments of pain. There were absolutely parts of my leaving New York that were extremely painful. They were very sad. I was very uncertain. There was a lot of shit that I had to wade through. But the process itself, like, I knew that was coming, right? And I knew that I had a 20-foot jump, but I knew that it wasn't 100 because I had done the work to fill in that 80-foot gapness with like something kind of smooth. And I was like, all right, is there going to be a cushion there? Can I like throw a bunch of mattresses down so that I can land on something, right? The point is there are things that you can do to cushion your landing. The last thing I want to say, and this is I think a broader disagreement, and it's funny, my suspicion, if you were to ask Dave and Shan, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that you would say that I am somebody who takes 1,000% responsibility. Maybe, maybe not. But what I'm getting at is that here again, it does not have to be an all or nothing thing. For Dave, for Shannon in particular, it had to be all or nothing. She had no choice. Her life was in such a place that any sort of gradual transition was not feasible. And it had to be this massive ka-chunk, right? Similar story with Dave from what I have gathered. His transition seems to have been a little less aggressive, but like, again, for both of them, that massive pain jump, that thrust, that hit, that whatever you want to call it, was absolutely mission critical to their growth. I do not think that is categorically true. And I think that when it comes to this idea of taking responsibility, I'll sort of end on this. When it comes to the idea of taking responsibility, you are absolutely responsible for what you allow to bloom and prosper in your life. 100%. 100%. You are responsible for weeding your own garden. You are responsible for planting crops. You are responsible for watering those crops, right? And the more you grow your town, community, garden, ganja field, 420, blaze it, right? Like whatever it is you're trying to grow, you are responsible for all of that. But I'm going to use I'm going to quote Queer Eye because I fucking love Queer Eye. Just everything about that show is just mwah. There's an episode called Black Girl Magic. And this episode is fucking hard as hell. It's so good. But it is like sucker punch feelings journey. It's amazing. And it's this girl who she was adopted, and she came out as gay, and her adopted family disowned her, and she was like living with a friend and on the street, and it's a whole fucking thing. And she has taken this mentality. She's 23, and she has taken this approach of like, you know, I'm going to take full responsibility. I got to be the woman in my life. I got to take care of people. I got to earn the money and pay the bills. She's fortunate to not have any kids, but like paying her rent and taking care of other people. Like she doesn't like to be taken care of. And Anthony, who's the food guy, like they're talking about making food. And he's like, there's an emotional intelligence that comes with knowing when to ask for help. I'm going to say that again. There is an emotional intelligence that comes with knowing when to ask for help. And that to me is what, honestly, I think all of objective personality is missing. And yes, you can fold that into taking responsibility, whatever. But the idea is that you have to be able to know what you can and cannot accomplish given a certain time frame, right? I did a lot of SAT and ACT standardized test coaching with these kids. And one of the first things that we talk about is like, okay, what is your goal? And how does that line up with the amount of time that we have together, right? Because sure, if we work together for a year, maybe, and you're already a genius, then sure, maybe you could take the test enough to get a perfect score. But like, that's not financially realistic. That's not, there are too many hours in the day. Like, no. How much time do we have? What are we trying to accomplish? I am here to help you. And I think that there is something extraordinarily responsible about being able to go, you know what? I don't got this. I have to accept help from the people around me that care about me, that love me, that want me to succeed. Apologies, getting a little verklempt here. And graciously, not just accepting their help, but soliciting it. Being able to go, hey, I got a thing that's on my mind. Can I bend your ear for a second? And not trying to fucking process everything and solve every goddamn problem yourself when you don't have, like, that's stupid, right? That's like saying, I have this fully cooked, beautiful steak in the fridge, and all I got to do is heat it up in the microwave. Now, you know what? I'm just going to eat it cold because I like it cold, because I've decided that no, bad is good, right? I want to eat it cold because that makes it, no, what? Use the fucking microwave. My God. Like, don't be an idiot. And so what I would love to see in the objective personality community in general, what I would love to see just in the world in general, is that we start to develop that emotional intelligence, that we start to be able to go, okay, I don't got this, but that guy does. I'm going to go solicit his help. And I'm going to consider that a form of taking responsibility and owning these parts. And, being able to outsource something, that is absolutely a way to build intimacy and trust. Look, Lord knows, my God, the number of relationships that have gone fakakta because I didn't surrender and I try under the guise of I'm taking responsibility for myself. What it was is it was keeping other people out, right? There is something extraordinarily responsible about inviting other people into your life, about leaning on other people by having that emotional intelligence and awareness to know, you know what? Today is not a shove day. I'm just not going to shove, and I'm not going to be mad at myself for not shoving. And it doesn't make me a bad person. It's not some kind of moral failing, ethical failing, it's nothing. It's, I'm not shoving today. And that's fine. If it's a month, and then here's the thing, even if it's a month of not shoving, if you're consciously going, you know what? I'm not shoving here because I still got to work on this backlog of whatever, right? All of this is to say, I think that the culture of objective personality when it comes to personal growth is, I'm all about embracing the darkness, right? I'm not about, sorry, I saw a funny comment. I'm kind of jealous you didn't have to deal with a tribe dumpster fire that turned your life around. Look, here's the thing. It was a more gradual process than that, right? So my tribe dumpster fire started when I quit drinking back in 2016, right? That was the like, oh, fuck. This is not good. Great. Boom. No more drinking. But that was sort of like the thing that started me over the edge of like getting out of townsfolk land. The rest of the purgatory stuff, like that was just a natural evolution of that, right? And it doesn't have to be like my bottom was the, I'll end on this analogy. How about this? How about this for like a gentler analogy? Slow Dancing in a Burning Room. It's probably my favorite John Mayer song. It's a beautiful song. It's this like heartbreaking song. It's about this metaphor of him and his girlfriend slow dancing in this room that's on fire around them, right? And at the end of the song, you can just walk out the door, right? But all this is to say, like, if you're doing the shoving and doing the growing and doing the this and the that and the whatever, like, you're allowed to go at your own pace. Like, you are not, this idea of 1,000% responsible. First off, I don't even think that that's helpful, because now you're trying to be like, I am taking responsibility for the broken healthcare system in America, and I'm taking responsibility for not being swallowed by global capitalism. Like, no, that's not how this shit works. Like, unless you want to be a fucking hermit, but then you can't watch my YouTube videos. So, like, please don't be a hermit. I need the attention. But all this is to say, be careful about going into the darkness without a trail of breadcrumbs to lead you out, right? Again, million metaphors for this. Trail of breadcrumbs to lead you out of the labyrinth. Having somebody on I'm trying to think, the two people, right? So there's the two people, and one person is on the outside of the labyrinth, and they're the ones holding the string. And then the other person is walking through the labyrinth, and it killed the Minotaur, and they have the string to get back. It relies on the other person to hold that string in the world of the light for you to fucking come back to, right? You cannot be responsible for slaying the monster and having the string and holding the string, because you can't be in two places at once. So part of learning responsibility really does come down to knowing who to trust, deliberately trusting them, and creating the kinds of relationships where people are just like, you know what? Yes, taking advantage of this person would hurt me. I'm not going to take advantage of him. I'm not going to fuck him over. And then now you're leaning on each other. And that absolutely is a form of responsibility. You are not in this alone. Personal growth does not have to be living in this pit of despair that you have to claw your way out of. No. It's going to be a roller coaster. It's not going to be like, wee, the entire time. But like, it doesn't have to be hell. And I think that there's a real danger in doing work, feeling like you're not going through enough hell, and then hurting yourself more in a way that isn't actually helping you get to where you want to go. All right, that's all I got for today. Thank you for hanging out with me and listening to me. Be kind to yourselves. We're living in wild, wild times. I encourage all of you to do as much introspection as you see fit. Begin to make positive changes in your life. Start to play the chip away game. We really have an extraordinary opportunity in not just our lives, but in all of Western civilization and capital, like all of these big things. We can commit these small acts of rebellion to make our lives better and to live more freely and more gently. All right. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.